So in this video, I'm working on a 2007 Jeep Liberty 3.7 liter. And what I've got here today is the check engine light was on. Customer needs to go to SMOG in California. We got to do SMOG every 2 years. And so this customer is due for a SMOG. And so I scanned the computer and I got a P0456 leak detected in the EVAP system, small leak. And so the first thing that I always do, and this video here can be for anyone. I'm going to try to make it as universal as I can. I do have a scan tool that I'm using, my Launch Pro Mini. So I'm going to do an actuation test on this canister purge solenoid or EVAP purge solenoid vapor canister. It's known by a lot of names. I think Dodge calls it vapor canister purge valve. So this is the top of it right here, and I do have it unplugged, and I've got some T-pins that I've pushed into the terminals very gently, and these are small enough diameter that they will work and not damage the female part of this connector here. And then you'll see these test leads. I've got just a little light bulb here connected to it. So I wanted to do a test right now, which is the first thing that I like to do, is since this is just the easiest, most accessible, fastest thing to start with when you get this code, especially when you know that there's an EVAP canister purge solenoid involved in the system, which they all have, to my knowledge. And so, yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is one test that you can do is if you have a scan tool, it's got to be a full service scan tool that has bi-directional control. So what I'm going to do here is click on actuation. I've already entered into all the vehicle information, so now I'm using the Jeep software in my scan tool to do this. So what I'm going to look for here is proportional purge solenoid. So what this tells me when I do this actuation test, this is going to tell me if we have good power and ground, and to make sure that it's a good, strong current flow, no resistance, and that's what this light bulb is going to do. And it's going to pull just enough amperage in order to be able to tell me if it's if we got a good power and ground. So that is our circuit integrity test, and then the next test is the control side, and I'm going to do that here. Now, not everyone's going to have a scan tool, but this is just what I'm going to do today, and then I'll show you how to bench test it on the vehicle, or you can disconnect the hoses and you can bench test it that way, and I'm going to show those. So I'm going to do a proportional purge solenoid test, and I'm going to do a duty cycle of 50% here. And so as soon as I tap on that, my light just turned on. So you can see there, and then I will turn it off, and then I will turn it on again. And there we go, lit up. All right. So what this tells me right now is that I've verified power and ground. I verified that we don't have any resistance in the connector going back to the PCM. And so this tells me that I've got good clean power. And then it also tells me that the control side is working flawlessly from the computer. So the PCM I'm telling the PCM with my scan tool as a bidirectional command to turn this light on in order to test my circuit. And if you have a scan tool, use it, because this just kind of rules out so many things. So I've already ruled out a whole lot of things just from doing basically one test. So what that tells me is that we're all good here on the circuit integrity, and the power control is all good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just disconnect all this here, and then I am going to pull the solenoid off. All right, so I had to do some stuff to get set up off camera. I don't have a tripod or anyone to film this for me, so I'm just doing it with my phone. So this is a smoke leak detector. This isn't a video on how to smoke intake systems or how to check anything for leaks with using smoke, but this is a really good tool. I've had it for 2 years now. Paid about $200 for it on eBay. It is amazing. You can get them on Amazon. Autool SDT106. Anyway, so I got this connected. I got it primed and ready here. So this is another test you can do with the scan tool that has bidirectional control. Is I go back over here to the scan tool, and then I'm back at the same screen again. And so I've got smoke going into one end here. You can see I've got all the way to my smoker, all the way going into here with the hose. And then so when power is applied to these vapor canister purge solenoids, it's supposed to let out the vacuum or the purge that's going to be going into the gas tank. Anyway, so that's what we have here, and so I've got it all set up. So then I'm going to go ahead and turn the scan tool on, and again at a 50% duty cycle, and then I'll come right over here, and then I'll show you this purge solenoid is working. It's turning on, it's still plugged in, so this is the bidirectional control. So that I've told the PCM to turn it on, and so I've got smoke coming out, which tells me that at least I know that it works. Okay, so that tells me one thing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Okay, so then I'll come back over here, and so this is really, I already tried to smoke this with it unplugged because I know that there's a leak. So anyway, that's what I've already tried to do. And so with the smoker, you can check this way to see if the valve is working. And it doesn't matter where you put the hose. You could put it on the upper nipple or the lower nipple because there's two coming out of it. It doesn't matter. It's just opening and closing is all it's doing. So I'm going to disconnect this, and then I'm going to do another test. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got the purge the purge solenoid taken off the car, and you could test it on the car, but I'm just going to do it like this. Just because I'm going to demonstrate how to do it. One thing I wanted to go back to is that I showed that I was using a kind of a different looking test light, and to check for the control side for power and everything when I was doing the bidirectional actuation test on the EVAP purge solenoid. And you could just use a regular test light. You know, any kind of a test light will work fine, as long as it's 12 volts, and then you can test that way. Using the T-pins. So back over here to do the bench test, and this is for anyone a technician or a DIY person. So you'll need a hand vacuum pump, and this is by Mighty Vac. And so I'm going to put approximately 15 inches of vacuum. Normal gasoline engine is going to be able to do that, and that's what I always test them at. I think I read it somewhere. I just don't remember, but typically an engine's going to have between 15 and 22 to 25 inches of vacuum. So I've got a rubber hose connected from my hand vacuum pump all the way to the solenoid, and it doesn't matter which one you put it on. There's two nipples coming out. As you'll see, I'm just doing this one-handed. So it doesn't matter which one. You just want to make sure that this purge solenoid can hold vacuum. So then I'll go ahead and pump it up here to approximately 15 inches of vacuum, and then you just look at it and watch it. And if it starts to fall like it is now, it means that the sensor is faulty. And you can double check it if you want. Make sure that your hose is good and tight. Make sure everything looks good. You could even try it on the other nipple. It'll do the same thing because the valve just opens and closes. That's all that it does. So it's very basic and very simple. And so what we've got here is this is the small leak that the computer is detecting through a pressure sensor that's in the gas tank. And that's typically, to my knowledge, that's how it's calculated or found out by the computer. And then the computer commands the check engine light on and stores the fault code P0456. So this is very common for pretty much every single car I've ever seen, this type of thing here. This is just the easiest thing to test first, so because this is right under the hood and it's accessible, like I was saying in the very first part of the video. And so yeah, now then what you can do is I've got a bench test 9-volt battery that you can use. I put a fuse in it. You don't have to do that, but that's just how I do it. And then there's a yellow wire and a black wire going into the solenoid, and it doesn't matter which way you put them in. You just want to make sure they don't touch each other. So the yellow one could be on the right and the black one could be on the left. It doesn't matter because you're just testing to see if the motor is actuating. And so what's going to happen is you're just going to listen to make a little kind of a tick-tick sound or a little kind of a spring kind of a noise sound in there, and you'll know that the purge solenoid valve is turning on. So I'll just go ahead and touch it here. I've already got one end connected. So I just did it a couple of times here. And then another thing that I'll show you here for even more testing, for even more confirmation that you've got an issue, is that you put the vacuum on it. And just get it up to around 15, and then just and you'll see it drop to 0 because I just applied power to the valve, and so the valve opened and then we lost all of our vacuum. So that's another way to test it. Works really well. This is how you're going to test it off the vehicle, or bench test also known as, and for technician or DIY person. And then this is confirmation that you have a bad valve and that you're making the right call when you want to go ahead and replace this to fix your problem. Be advised that there are other electronic components in the EVAP system. There's a vent valve at the EVAP canister. This is the purge valve that's always at the intake manifold or somewhere in that vicinity. And so that's what I'm testing here. And yeah, so hope this helps somebody out. The procedure is the same for pretty much every vehicle I've ever worked on. I've tested hundreds of these on all different kinds of manufacturers, Japanese and American, and some European. So this is a very universal test. I'm sure that there's other videos on YouTube that show how to do this, but not by me. So I just wanted to make a video. Hopefully this will make some, give some clarification and give somebody some direction and help somebody out who's trying to diagnose a P0456. There are other reasons for a P0456, but this is what I started with first, and this is the problem I found first. So this is a known problem, and I verified it, and so I'm going to recommend the customer replace this valve, and this is probably going to fix it. I'm not going to continue checking every single thing. I'm not going to smoke check the EVAP system. I'm not going to check the canister venting valve. I'm not going to check all that because I believe it's just wasting time, and I just don't want to get into all that if I don't need to. So I have found a known problem and I verified it, so now I'm going to recommend to the customer to have me go ahead and replace this valve. And I'm going to clear the codes, and hopefully it won't turn back on, and the customer will pass SMOG and everything will be good. You guys, please subscribe. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope I was able to help some people, give some direction and maybe some clarification on how to do these tests for anyone who is in the field, beginner or not, DIY, whatever the case. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching.